Hey, how's it going, guys and gals? Welcome back to this week's episode of Cartridge to Cloud, our newest show here on INN. We're actually rebranded it from the Insider Gaming News Talk Show. I'm your host, LifeShifter X, with Captain Tutu and House Hendo. Welcome, everybody.
What's up, everyone?
How's
Glad
everybody
to be
doing?
back. How's everybody been?
It's been a minute, man. It's been a minute. So as you notice, we're not doing our webcams this time. For this season, we're actually going to be focusing on mostly just talking about it. It's going to be mostly podcast format, but we're also broadcasting it live for here on Twitch. But it will be on podcast form, YouTube, and so on and so forth. But today, got a lot of cool topics coming up. I'm pretty excited about everything that's going on. We've got NVIDIA GeForce Now. We're going to be talking about what's going on with them as their service is launched and what has happened in the meantime. Games are booming right now. On our current climate, we've got games hitting all kinds of new records basically out of nowhere, which is pretty crazy. And also, we're going to be talking about the E3 cancellation and what that's going to mean for our whole like industry and whatnot, like how that's going to change things, hopefully, with how that's presented in the future. But Hendo, go ahead and take off on the GeForce Now.
Yeah, GeForce Now. To those of you who don't know, NVIDIA has always had the service called GeForce Now. It's basically their own cloud gaming service. Everybody has access to it if you basically use the GeForce Experience package that comes with your graphics card. But what's been going on with them lately is that a lot of developers have become anti GeForce Now because unlike Epic and a few other streaming services, they don't have as many perks. So what's going on is kind of like a DRM scheme. It's really a quagmire right now because the only real reason they have to not like GeForce Now is out of spite, and at least in my personal opinion, from what I've seen. The platform, it works quite good. It works a lot better than the current ones being promoted for cloud gaming. Somebody in there is more familiar with those other attempts than I am.
Oh yeah, I mean it's a really good service though. I mean like it uses all the current services you use for PC gaming basically and brings them all together where you can play them in a cloud gaming environment, which surprisingly from what we've seen is actually beating Stadia in its like performance and lag input tests, which is pretty crazy. It's like half of what Stadia is.
Yeah.
But some of the big appealing parts to it is it was a free service up until if you're in the beta up until recently, and then the founders get 3 free months, I believe. The people who originally were in the test for longer than a year, I think it was, or something like that. And basically, you got it at a discounted rate for the first year if you wanted to. Now, the service itself isn't really that expensive, which is kind of good. I can't remember what do you guys remember what it was off the top of your head?
I want to say like $5.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was like
yeah, it was like $5.99, I think it was specifically. Like yeah, just under $6. Like
yeah, it was like a super cheap service, like for a great price, and I literally couldn't complain. Yeah, so its founders is was $4.99 a month for 12 months. Priority access extended, session length, RTX on, which you get all the fancy extra features of that, and then you get a free 90-day introductory period.
Oh, sweet. Okay, so it's $5 a month, but you get 90 days to try it out, pretty much.
Yeah,
yeah,
so
they kind of got like they kind of got like a Netflix subscription model, except for video games, which I don't mind at all. Because those of us, well, I know all three of us remember this, but those of you who are in the chat joining us right now may not remember this. But there was a company called GameFly that used to do this model, and I think that's what GeForce is going. Well, GameFly was quite revolutionary. It was
yeah.
it was the
I thought you were
Netflix of
gonna
video
bring
games.
it way back to Blockbuster.
Oh no. I was trying to keep it cloud at least,
Yeah,
or at least distributing regularly. But yeah, no, I still have memories of those late fees and all my allowances going to them.
Oh man, it was pretty bad.
Yeah, what was it, like $5 every 2 days?
It was something crazy. Like I just it was pretty wild, man.
But yeah, this whole GeForce Now thing is there's an issue with when it comes to like kickbacks, and technically when you buy the issue that's going on with GeForce is developers, some, not all, don't want to let you just cloud save your game over to GeForce. They actually want you to buy an additional copy of their game to play on GeForce Now. That's really the crux of the issue going on with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really stupid. I think that's the thing that's kind of preventing like me and most other people from like investing into Stadia right now, because it's like already own all these games, so why would you want to buy it a second time just to play it through the cloud? Like that's completely stupid, completely redundant to me. And so what GeForce Now is doing is like really cool, and it's pretty much the way it should be. As you said before, like Netflix for video games. Like your whole library is already there to just tap into and play at any time. Any device, pretty much.
Now to me, like, how do I know what the biggest features are for some of the stuff for like Stadia, but what do you like? What do you guys feel like is the biggest reason why Stadia might be failing now versus why GeForce Now would succeed in that case?
Well, GeForce already has the infrastructure. It's a program that was originally designed to work with your graphics card to enhance your games to begin with. It was made from the ground up. While Stadia is Google's latest tech exercise. It's their video game version of Google Glass, in my opinion. Like, it's a roundabout good technology. It's just being applied wrong completely by Google.
Yeah, I think they're trying to make it its own platform, which is I don't think is what people want anymore. People don't want platform segregation. They don't want to feel like, oh my god, like we're gonna make this new platform and it's gonna kick ass, but it's not cross-platform. So with the industry leading into being more cross-platform and being able to play with anybody regardless of what platform you're on, and them to go make another platform that's not cross-compatible is kind of stupid, I think.
Well, I agree with you, and I think really Google, it's purely ignorance. I feel like who's ever in charge of Stadia, like keeping it going, like on the executive level, is thinking of the video game industry 15 years ago.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Where you still could launch a new console technically. In 2005, you could still technically get away with launching something new. Nowadays, like, you were just talking about cross save, the old guard has basically rounded the wagons. They're like, we're gonna play just nice enough to prevent any real competition from coming out from like a new console. So that's what I think Stadia was trying to do. To like, okay, we can't make a physical console like Microsoft did, but we can break into this cloud gaming stuff, and I don't think they've managed it at all well.
To me, I just feel like Stadia has really got the messaging wrong, like right from the jump. Not only that, but just like even the previews beforehand, like they didn't pan out too well, and just like every bit of news like leading up to launch just got worse and worse and worse for Stadia, to where I feel like a lot of people that were initially excited, like you and myself, Life Shifter, we kind of just tapped out of it. We're just like, okay, we'll see what happens next, pretty much.
Yeah,
Yeah, they
like
did have.
we
Go
were
ahead,
all
Tommy.
super excited at the beginning about Stadia, and then like as more things came out, yeah, you're right. We were just like the interest declined because it was supposed to be a competitor. They were first saying they were a competitor to GeForce Now, and their very first statement when they started launching the whole thing during their big presentation or whatever. And then as more came out, and then the more it was going to be its own platform, everybody's like, wait, what?
Yeah.
But
Like
continue, Hendo.
at this point, it's just really hard to compete with PlayStation, Xbox, and Nintendo. Super hard, and I feel like they shouldn't have done that. But we're here already.
Yeah, and not to mention their hype train was very, very weird. Like that acid trip commercial they spammed everywhere made no sense.
No, I
Oh
didn't.
yeah, the
So,
one that
like,
was revealed at Game Awards you're talking about?
yeah, the guy with the
Oh,
crazy hair wearing the suit,
yeah.
it was like Wes Anderson on an acid trip producing a commercial. I don't know what was going on there.
I don't know. That was the whole thing. Like, and like I said, as more things came out, and then it was weird because all the big promises they made for launch day, like slowly but surely, like over half of that stuff got rolled back, which kind of sucks. So that was another thing that was killing me. Like the game library was supposed to be what, like 50 games long or something, like 50 games deep or something on launch day, and ended up being 24, which was kind of a weird thing too. And then he had a myriad of different things that kept getting cut out or dropped down. Like it's still not truly 4K, which is something they promised on launch day, and that's a huge thing for people.
Like, let's be honest, the Soldier Boy console did better after being sued from Nintendo than Stadia did.
Right? That was kind of a random one too.
I know, but let's be honest. When it comes to like launching crazy stuff unprepared, Soldier Boy did a better job than Google. if we look at it, even after being sued by Nintendo, which should let Google know maybe they should stick to, smart cars and search engines and
Yeah.
running YouTube.
Now, going back on like GeForce Now, like some of the companies that have pulled their games out, and they're all been for a variety of different reasons so far, which is kind of the weird thing. 2K pulled out their games, saying they didn't ever have permission for it. Activision pulled it out because they didn't like the service after the fact that they were putting a paywall in front of it, which was another kind of a weird one because everybody knew from the get go that GeForce Now was eventually going to become a paid service when it launched. We didn't know when that was because they never actually set a timeline for it. And it just kind of all of a sudden was like, it's out of beta. Here you go, guys. So that was kind of a weird one. Like Activision, I feel like Activision Blizzard is still continually making mistakes with their fans. I don't know.
Well, I think this is mainly motivated by greed in a post Epic store launch, because Epic, I think, is also one of the main reasons why his developers are being a lot more aggressive with GeForce Now, because they want more of a share. They're like, oh, you want to pay service? We want more money.
Yeah.
And even in their like the terms of service, you see that like some of these companies put that they won't allow like unauthorized third party applications to like stream their games and whatnot. So
Yeah, that's another big one.
Yeah, there's also like rumors, rumbling, just rumor, but that Activision Blizzard, they're planning their own like cloud streaming service.
Which was, that was another big one that was behind that too.
Yeah.
And that's another thing. Like, so Epic has now finally started this whole war. Like we've been talking about Blizzard on and off for like a year now, I think, even with the Insider. How Epic is really, I think I said Blizzard, but Epic's really made this competitive market for developers wanting to go and put their platforms on their games on their platform. And it's caused this like feud between Steam and Epic, and they kind of have to trade on which one's bigger, right? Like Epic still has a pretty big player base, but Steam I still think has the biggest player base overall for like people that are actually using it, and the availability of games and the fact that everything has already been there for years. But kind of going on this whole like GeForce Now thing, they aren't with Stadia, they're not offering any percentage back. Like it's like less than 10% or something, which is what one of the news was reporting. So I'm like, why would anybody want to support Stadia if Epic's giving you, was it at 75 or 80% of your earnings, plus a bonus to even jump onto the platform to begin with? And
exactly.
So that goes along with a whole nother myriad of different things, wrong with Stadia. Like, if they're
really stupid too, because Google has loads and loads of money. So like, it's like, why aren't they paying like these devs enough to put their games onto Stadia?
I'll tell you exactly why. This is actually one of the things that frustrates me the most about Google. Google tries to clone Microsoft's. You know how Microsoft will like set apart a whole division and give them 10 years to come up with something cool?
Yeah.
Well, that's what Google wants, but they're doing it like DC tries to copy Marvel in the movies. They try to rush it, and this is what we get at Stadia.
Yeah.
True.
I mean, and there's no reason that Google should be trying to do this too. They should be playing it smart. I mean, they have all the money and the resources in the world to do, whatever they want with the service, and they shouldn't be trying to push it this hard. Like, there's no reason for it.
Yeah, this is the problem. Like, they kind of do like a Shark Tank thing at Google. Like, you kind of like pitch an idea during a board meeting, and they give you like 6 months and a small team and a couple $1 million. It's just how they work in Silicon Valley with Google. And Facebook does the same thing too. That's how they did their whole Facebook gaming nonsense.
Yeah.
It's just they're all trying to copy their predecessors that inspired them to begin with. This right now is just Google and Facebook are trying to do what Microsoft did. When they came out with that Xbox and started doing, Microsoft games, and they just dominate PC gaming and made the first really successful American console.
Yeah. I mean, and that's the thing too, is like when you go and you're creating a brand new game or a brand new system in a brand new market with trying to do the whole cloud gaming, which is what everybody really wants to go towards anyway. Like, nobody wants to do the downloads, the long waiting time, the long updates or anything like that, right? Like, cloud gaming seems like the perfect example of doing it. But why would you go and screw your developers and the people that want to bring stuff on a brand new platform, mind you, that has never had any real stuff behind it, aside of the fact that it's Google? And knowing Google's history of canceling things, then it's like, oh, then it just goes out the door because nobody gives a shit, because they don't think that Google's actually going to sustain the product, because Google has thrown away more projects than any other company I've ever seen in my life. But
yeah, if it's not advertisement gold for their primary business, it doesn't last.
yeah,
Like
basically.
the only reason the only reason Google still owns YouTube, even though they haven't made a profit off it since they made it, is because it's amazing advertisement for almost everything else they have.
Yeah. It's not a worthy thing. Now on the opposite side, going back to the GeForce Now, is at least the Cyberpunk devs have actually announced that Cyberpunk 2077 will actually be available on GeForce Now day one. So it was kind of the weird thing during beta when you actually had a new game that was coming, it would take anywhere between a day to 3 weeks to show up on GeForce Now if they got it on there. And you're playing it on like the latest, GeForce Now or NVIDIA cards and to begin with. So it's like, man, you get a huge bonus plus super low latency. I mean,
Oh yeah.
like we've all played it, I think, at some point. One of our old streamers actually used to exclusively stream from GeForce Now as a platform. Like that's the only way he got gaming going, because he was playing on like an older Mac and whatnot. And I was like, that's pretty impressive.
I
Yeah.
know for me personally, I exclusively played the Division 2 through GeForce Now, and it ran so smooth.
Oh yeah, I mean it's a super smooth platform to play on, though.
And that's another reason too why I believe CD Projekt Red and a lot of the Eastern European developers have been more friendly with GeForce Now. And I think it's just because of availability of that service and how good it is actually in Europe and overseas compared to its American contemporaries.
Yeah.
And also, a lot of those companies aren't that greedy. You know, a lot of these are small. Like CD Projekt Red was never a huge company. So, you know, a lot of these smaller companies that are not being greedy and have crazy ideas of grandeur are just being like, hey, GeForce Now, it's a good service. Yeah, let's do this. It's good business.
Yeah, and I mean, and it's been in testing for like, I think it was 7 years is what they've said. Like it's been out a while now, and people have been using it. Yeah, like it's been in beta for 7 years. I've been in it for 4. So,
Whoa, geez, I didn't realize it went back that far.
yeah,
I just had it like last year.
Yeah, I think it's when I told you about it too, right? Like when you're having certain
Yeah.
problems with games. Yeah.
Yeah, because that's why. I had so much trouble like streaming the Division 2 on my PC. So I was just like, you know what, screw it. Let me just go through GeForce Now, and it ran like a dream, so smooth.
Oh yeah, I remember using it on beta when I was on active duty on my old Toshiba laptop back in the day. That thing was great.
Now, could you imagine if they expanded GeForce Now to be like, to include console gaming on top of that and be like an all-in-one shop for it? Could you imagine what a service like that would look like?
These consoles, we got xCloud coming. I'm sure PlayStation is cooking up something. Nintendo's even testing cloud gaming over in Japan, though. Sadly, not here.
Well, yeah, that's the that's a Microsoft thing, right? The partnership with Microsoft using Azure.
Well, I don't know about Nintendo, but I know that Sony and Microsoft are partnering up with cloud gaming.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, like that's what I was actually kind of alluding to earlier with that whole like rounding the wagons of the old guard. You know, Sony and Microsoft are playing so aggressively nice with each other. It's, you know,
Well, all
creating
of
like
them are.
like a seawall of like the gaming industry right now.
Yeah.
You kind of have to, though, in this market anymore. I mean, more people just want to play together. They don't care what platform they're on. You know, like the whole like console wars and stuff like that is finally kind of dying down. Like everybody has their preference still, I'm sure, with like the controllers or the UI or whatever have you. Like, I mean, for me personally, I'm a PC gamer at heart. Like I've always loved PC gaming more than consoles. However, I've owned all the consoles up to this point, and I still play them all. But I like the fact that it's finally tearing down some of those walls and people are just playing together. Like I think that's why COD is doing so well too, which is going to be actually one of our upcoming topics here in a minute. It's got a huge following because it's crossplay, and it doesn't matter what platform you're on. You all can play together and do whatever you want, which is the best part of the whole thing.
And everybody from like 14 to 40 knows what COD is.
Exactly. Now going on to our next topic, our gaming done big, which is actually going to be talking a little bit about kind of like how the industry is getting a gaming boost right now. A lot of people are working from home or out of school or so on and so forth just because of the climate right now. And the gaming industry is getting a huge boom from this. Like, Steam actually hit at 20 million concurrent users at one time, which is a record it hasn't hit for a few years. Not just because anyway, it's just spread out throughout the day, but so many people are home, and it's just like, bam, all of a sudden 20 million people. And then even Counter-Strike Go, one of their, I think it's, how old is Counter-Strike Go now?
That's a
CSGO?
record they never hit.
Yeah, that's a record
actually.
they never hit. Was, yeah, they hit 1 million concurrent players at one time on Counter-Strike. They have never touched that number. They'd say, I think their highest was like 500K, 5 or
CS:GO
600K.
came out in 2012.
Yeah, so for an 8-year-old game, hitting 1 million concurrent players is definitely a feat worth talking about.
Yes.
But
But I wanna just usher caution though. With a booming gaming, with development and all this stuff, I want everybody watching the show to be incredibly mindful that dirty devs are still out there. There will be people that will try to jump on this as opportunities. They'll make CS:GO clones. They'll make all kinds of stuff. I want everybody to be vigilant and not think this is just like another golden era. Because when people start working from home, sorry, I didn't realize that. Sorry, I had a little sound issue on my side. People don't realize that this is like the perfect opportunity when those like shady Kickstarters start showing up.
oh yeah, well
Because they're like,
that Kickstarters, I'm hoping is like finally people have gotten over that phase of Kickstarters. But
Yeah, and I was going to say, I feel like nowadays people can see through the BS really clearly, and of course, the cream always rises to the top, and all of those, crappy games, people see through it.
well,
They get no.
agreed, Tutu, and we do have the fortunality, at least in recent past 2 years, the number of channels that just are dedicated to exposing these horrible business practices on the Steam store
Yep.
have been doing great. I just want everybody to be mindful that those channels exist and check them out before you buy anything new from a new indie gamer that comes out of this, work at home biz. Because somebody's going to try to be like, well, since I was stuck at home and I'm a part-time game dev, I decided to come out with this game and throw a whole bunch of Unity assets in there and try to say it's original.
yeah, it's pretty wild. Now going on
But that's all I wanted to go to. Go ahead.
on top of our games doing great, we were just talking about COD. Now COD itself has actually done really well. It hit its 15 million concurrent users plus since the time it came out, which was just this past Tuesday. And
Warzone.
yeah,
Yes.
Warzone. So Warzone, sorry, not COD as a whole, but Modern Warfare, but Warzone. So their newest battle royale has actually peaked over 15 million concurrent users in the first week, which is something that it previously held. I think it was 10 million in the first week held by Apex Legends. Now, to me, like I was just saying, cross-platform, I think, is the reason why this game in its BR has done so well, is because everybody can play together. Doesn't matter what platform you're on. As long as you're given on one of the 3 main ones, you're in, basically.
There's cross-platform, and then the fact that Call of Duty, of course, is a household name at this point. Everybody and their mama knows what Call of Duty is, whereas Apex was a brand new IP, from the ground up, and it took some time, pretty much, to become a household name that we know it. But still, it is in nowhere near as big as Call of Duty is.
Yeah, and I'll go on too. That is the thing too. Apex really is the new kid on the block when it comes to this stuff, which I think, even though COD is beating it out, I don't think the achievements of Apex should really be lessened because it's going up against a bigger dog.
Yeah.
It's been around for a while. It's like a puppy going up against like a 7-year-old shepherd. It's gonna get messed up.
One of the things I wish that COD would do at this point is like not do yearly releases, because we could all see like yearly releases aren't their biggest thing anymore. I mean, they do sell, but the player base drops off so quick now compared to like other games. Like, I mean, even Apex Legends has still got a huge player base. Even Fortnite still has a huge player base, but they're also on way more platforms. I mean, they're connected with 6 platforms now, I think, total.
Everything.
Yeah, it's like phone, Switch, PS4, Xbox, PC.
Yeah.
Is there anything else I'm missing? I think it's just a 5, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And Carnos is right. Like the Dust 514 tried so hard to be the cross-platform, and they actually had it pretty close, I think. I kind of wish they would stuck with it.
I bought a PS3 Slim because it came with Dust 514 and like Uncharted 3 or 2. I can't remember, but I actually liked it. It worked pretty well on the PlayStation's operating system. I thought CCP actually did something really good, but then they started nerfing everything, and it just got ridiculous, and the community died off.
Well, and they did it close to the end of the PS3's life cycle too, which was kind of a bad decision. I thought, like everybody said that too. It's like, well, why don't your player base is on PC? Like you have an MMO on PC, why not keep it on PC? Oh, well, we want to move it away from, open up another market and all that. I'm like, no, like bring it on PC. People will play on PC. People will do both. Like these hardcore people at the time would have done both easily. I mean,
Yeah,
I
it's
hope they
just- I
still do
think-
it.
It was very ambitious. To me, Dust 514 was kind of like a microcosm of like kind of what Dreamcast was. It was a little ahead of its time without the infrastructure.
Definitely.
Oh, absolutely. Like, it could definitely still be done. I mean, even in the Eve game right now, there's still tons and tons of connections to Dust still. And I hope one day they're going to eventually use it and bring it to a PC game, which is what they were trying to do, but now has been mysteriously canceled again. And we have no idea what's going to be happening with it. But going back on the COD topic, what do you all think? Like they released Warzone later. They never announced Modern Warfare with a battle royale. What do you think that's going to change their mind in terms of battle royales? Like, you think they're just going to keep making a new one every time they make a COD now because it's been Black Ops 4? Now they're doing one in Modern Warfare, even though it came out, much later.
Yeah, it's gonna go the way of Nazi zombies for sure.
Well, I think there's something significant to be made from the fact that this is like free to play, which is really unprecedented. Like I did not see that coming. I feel like a lot of people didn't see that coming. And even if you go on to the Black Ops page, like if you go to Black Ops page, they're advertising Warzone right now. So they're trying to get those folks to move over to Warzone. I really hope that they continue to like refine Warzone and kind of get ideas from Fortnite, of course, and make like events and all these crazy stuff like map changes and things like that. Um, like I would love to just have like Warzone, like a Warzone focused kind of Call of Duty for the next year, 2 years, instead of like having a Black Ops 5 and the Modern Warfare 2 come out the following year. But yeah,
Yeah.
that's where we're going right now. So
I mean, if they win on, like, I think they said Modern Warfare already outsold Black Ops 4. Like, I could totally see them writing out Modern Warfare for a whole nother year, realistically. And just kind of do a bi-yearly thing. And I mean, if their next game didn't work out, bam, they can make another one if they really wanted to. I mean, they've got 2 development studios for that reason, right? But I think it's getting to that point where we're 3. So I mean, we're getting to the point where we're pretty fatigued from all these different, Call of Duties or yearly titles aside of the sports titles, which everybody loves. But for COD, like Assassin's Creed hit that fatigue too, where they're not releasing games every year again. They tried that for a couple years and they realized it was just way too hard to do, which is good. So I don't know what they want, but
well, fatigue with this franchise is real. Like, I to be honest, full disclosure, I checked out playing Call of Duty games after Black Ops 3.
yeah.
I don't blame you.
But there's just so much you can do with the modern war setting in the near past before it just becomes extremely redundant to a lot and just extremely comfortable for a very sizable chunk. Hence why they reach these numbers, because it's what you know. It's kind of one of the reasons why, for instance, we all most of us play Eve Online. It's one of the reasons that's persisted so long, because it's the monster we know.
Yeah. Now going into talking a little bit about the mechanics before we move on to our other topic. How do you guys feel about the respawn system in the new Modern War or the Warzone?
It's
like
awesome.
how they do the gulag and
yeah, it's really cool. Like as you said when we were playing yesterday, like it's a lot less stressful than other battle royale games because you can factor in the gulag, the whole gulag feature, and the fact that you can come back after killing an opponent, and like that's really cool. And then on top of that, you can like save up enough money and respawn in your teammates after they die, which is really awesome too. And I know other games do that now, like Fortnite does it now and Apex does it. But the way that Call of Duty does it is just really cool and different. I like it a lot.
Yeah, I definitely think they changed up the formula with it. Like they didn't just release another battle royale, which was nice. They used their gunfight option as basically a mini gunfight option built into the battle royale, which like I said, like it takes away that stress of dying in a battle royale because you're like, oh fuck, now I gotta wait for my friends to finish, or he's gonna drop out, and it releases that whole stress of trying to stay with your friends if you're playing with your friends. Like, you know, you're like, oh man, all right, cool, I got another chance. And then all your buddies meet it in the gulag if you all died to a better team, and you're all like, hell yeah, and you can help each other, which is the crazy part too. Like if you're all in voice chat, you can help each other actually win your gulag matches and kind of do it until the last person is there, of course, and then they can't help you. But up until the point, the first two people that go out of your 3-man team can actually help you get through it, throw rocks at the enemy or whatever, you know, which is kind of cool. I thought that was. Go ahead.
You guys are doing a better advertisement than Activision to make me want to buy this game now.
It's
because I just never heard people talk so positively about gulags. I'm now curious.
Right?
It's free, man. Go.
It's free, yeah.
Download it, yeah.
Probably
If you
about
don't like it, you can always remove.
It's worth it. It's my favorite thing so far is the whole gulag thing. Like it makes it takes that stress away so much. Like it really definitely positively improves the experience.
Yeah, especially for any of the gamers out there that are like me, where you just kind of suck at all competitive games and you kind of hang back throughout the whole entire match. But this one, like, I really feel like I don't need to hang back just because of that whole gulag feature. It's so cool.
Yeah, it brings out
I
that
feel
bravery.
more like Leroy Jenkins or like Rambo. Like I want to get into the action more.
Okay,
yeah.
so I'm just getting my mind blown from you guys talking about these gulags in this game. Like
It's changed the formula, that's for sure. Like, and it's something we've been talking about.
Is it like you get dropped into like a camp with all your homies, and it's just
no.
Yeah,
you're in the prison.
Like, is it like legitimately like they put you like in a virtual gulag that's just like a camp? You do like little side missions to get back in the main game?
No. So it's it's basically put you in a 1v1 gunfight with another person that's in the gulag. Yeah. So like everybody in the gulag goes in there, they get thrown in the gulag. You wait, everybody who waits as the rounds are going through, it's like a 1v1. So they get in, you get a random weapon, and then you just go ham on each other. Usually it's a pistol or a shotgun. I haven't seen rifles yet.
So this is one of the gulags personally built by Stalin then.
It's like a prison. So like every time you die.
Well, yeah, I just mean like you drop in and it's just like a 1v1 fight automatically. I just find that hilarious for that concept.
Yeah.
It's a gulag Thunderdome. I like
it. Like people watching and throw rocks and crap like that and like fight each other.
And then the people hanging inside could actually fist fight while you're waiting.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, it's great. It's the coolest feature
nobody's
by far.
Nobody's gonna play the actual game. People are just gonna like shit post in the gulag.
Yeah, well, you get forced out. Awesome. You get forced out at some point, but because either you win your match and you get back in, you redeploy.
Gulag that kicks you out? Sign me up.
So yeah,
dude, I get kicked out of there so fast. I throw so many rocks and start so many fights.
Oh man, it's crazy. Going on to our big top story for today. E3 2020 it got canceled due to the current climate of everything going on right now. Now I know me and Tutu have talked a lot about this past week. Like, what are kind of some of the implications you guys think is going to be coming from E3 going digital or not having an event this year? I know we've had our ups and downs with E3 the last few years. Trying to discuss like, what are they going to do? You know, Sony's dropped out. They lost their creative floor people, so they didn't have their actual like designers and everything for the show floor and everything. And they also lost Jeff Knightley in the whole process.
Sure.
So
I'm not sad about Jeff, to be honest. He was a personality. He was a corner, but I don't think he was essential.
But yeah,
that's just my personal opinion. I know a lot of people really liked him. I could take him or leave him.
How do you guys feel about the whole convention even being dropped in the first place? You guys think it's going to have like a big like downside to it?
Well, actually, I think it's going to hurt people who like showing up in person, like that whole like in-person community feel. But I also feel like the companies are going to cut a crap ton of waste from not doing a physical expo. Like, think of like all the stuff they do. Like, I understand they're going to be like entertainers, like models and dancers that would be put out of work temporarily until they can find another place to go. without these big conventions. That's the other thing they like to do. It helps small artists, but I think the gaming companies will improve because they waste a lot of time and money prepping for this. Like, how many dev hours do we lose because they're getting ready for a presentation at a con?
Yeah, that's so true.
Yeah, I mean, there's
You
always
know,
a demo they have to prepare, usually if they're doing something on the show floor, or they're preparing the video, or they're preparing certain features of the game that they want to talk about. The marketing and PR people are going crazy on the development team. It's just like a
exactly.
super crazy time.
Like, I've always felt like conventions were always a kind of a drain on the video game community. I've always wanted video game companies kind of be like that one in Grandma's Boy, where the gamers they're just in there doing their thing. No conventions. It's just we're gaming all day. We're doing dev. You got the head dev in like a white room doing all crazy Matrix stuff. That's what I want. I
Yeah.
think without E3, we'll get closer to that.
Well, and Kronos brings up a really good point. There's a lot of people also in the wake of this event closing is that they're losing their jobs, or they're not getting additional income this year from something they would have been planning for usually all
Like
year.
me,
Like Tutu, for example.
like me.
He usually works for the Ubisoft booth every year.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that the writing was on the wall about this whole like cancellation for E3 for a long time coming. Like, Tommy said, Sony dropped out, Jeff Keighley dropped out. We have like these other smaller companies have been dropping out too. And they're kind of their hand was forced just because of this current pandemic that's going on right now. And it's sad, but it's honestly the best thing that they could have done, of course, because E3 like houses so many damn people from all around the world. And you're just kind of asking for something to happen for an event like that, of course. um and like Hendo is 100% right on the money with everything he said. Like, devs don't have, they'll be able to cut costs, and they don't have to plan E3, and it won't like mess into development time for these games, which is amazing. um and even as someone who's worked E3 for the past like 2 years, working with Ubisoft, like I can see how like stressed out they are, and how crazy it is. But it's also like a celebration, and they love it and they have fun. And, the fans come together and they have fun. Devs come together and they network and they meet each other. And a lot of these smaller companies, these smaller developers, they get their big come up as big deals from networking through E3 and talking to big publishers like a Sony or Ubisoft and this and that. And so for those people, like I really feel for it, and it sucks that they won't have that kind of those connections this year, and
Like I
those
mentioned too.
opportunities.
Like I mentioned too, all the entertainers and Karn is talking about the professionals that they're gonna be in limbo for the next 6 months as these
Yeah,
cancellations come and go, and it's gonna be tough for them, and I feel for them, but I also feel like they're gonna find better opportunities in the wake of this, because I know a lot of people who've been presenters and stuff, and they've like convention circuits have ended, expos have like completely stopped doing them, and they go to other friends, and they end up finding better ventures doing what they love still.
Yeah, I definitely
So
think there's going to be a lot of positives that are also going to come out. I mean, it's unfortunate that people had to actually lose their jobs in the wake of it being canceled, and a lot of other events, for that matter, currently being canceled. But for E3 in specific, I think it's going to actually boom in a way that it's going to take that pressure off the developers from having to go and do everything for this 1 week, which I've always heard from different game companies. Like when I worked for SOE and SCEA, when they were still doing E3 presentations back then, that it was actually one of the worst times of the year for them, because they didn't like to have to drop everything they were doing to work on the stuff for E3. And then they would basically get back to normal operations after E3, or once the build and all that stuff was done. So it was always a kind of a different mixed bag, or a different story for everybody. But I think that the company's not spending all that money to go to a convention, which they lose some of the other stuff, but they're also going to gain more fans going to want to tune in and see what their big reveals are, and so on and so forth. But I think the power of the spread of word that it's not going to be directly through E3, or if it is, I don't know if they're still going to pull this whole, digital presentation thing they were talking about. If they pull that off, it'll be a good thing. But if not, and these companies just go, hey, we're just going to do our own thing, then we might see E3 actually go away in the next few years because of it.
yeah. I
yeah,
honestly feel
and
like Microsoft is going to be one to like really kind of step away from E3 because of this. Like I have like a strong feeling they're going to be the first ones, and we're going to see like more companies like follow suit.
They don't need them. Like,
Yeah, they
Microsoft
really
could
don't.
do their own convention, and it would do perfectly f they could
Same
do
as like
micro
Sony.
yeah, they all Sony does their own conventions, I think, in
Yeah,
Japan that are
PSX.
amazing.
No, they do. Well, they've done PSX, but they canceled. I think the last like 2 years. But yeah, that's their own convention that they do. Microsoft
And
has the one too. The XO events that go on every year. It's like the end of the year.
Oh yeah.
and just in general with all these cons right now, across all boards, video games, comic books, movies, and TV cons, I think long term it'll be good because I think these cons and their schedules have gotten ridiculous in recent years. I think 6 months to a year, a breather, would actually do organizers a world of good and make 2021 probably a way better year than it could have been.
Oh, absolutely.
Because I've done conventions myself, as you guys know. Me personally, I do like comic book conventions and stuff, working with nonprofits. You know, those organizers are some of the most stressed out people I have met, and that's including my time in combat zones.
Damn.
Oh jeez.
Like, I've seen guys that look like they go from completely normal guys to having horrible anxiety disorders within 2 years of planning Comic Con.
I was definitely saying something. You can compare that to what you've been through.
Yeah, like, well, I can't say because I've never been an organizer, but the aftermath of how I see a lot of these people end up being reminds me of that shit. Like, they look kind of cell shocked. Like, you get done with a 3-day weekend at a con, yeah, my feet's killing me. My
Dude,
voice is like
yeah.
gone. This
It,
dude wants to lay down and die, and
it's a
I'm just like,
lot.
have a shot, please.
Like
Yeah.
it's fun. Like it's super fun. And like now that it's on its way out, I would try to recommend, if you could, try and go to E3, see how it is. If there is another E3 next year. I feel like there will be, but
I
we'll
feel like
see.
there'll be other
And
gaming conventions to pick up the slack too.
yeah, definitely. But like after you're done, it's so tiring, so exhausting. And you're kind of like at the last day especially, you're just kind of like just done and just over it. And then once it's all said and done, you're happy to be home, happy to be back in your bed or wherever.
Yeah, it's kind of a crazy thing. Now, going back on some of the things that why I don't know E3 has kind of been on the downside. We talked about Jeff leaving. We talked about I am 8-bit dropping out as the creative organizers for the show floor. But the ESA also leaked out journalists' personal info last year,
Yeah.
which was another big thing. Sony dropping out 2 years in a row, which is one of the three major players, and the other two are still there, wondering like, oh, okay, like we're here still, sure.
And the rising giant that is PAX.
Well, yeah, and then
Oh
PAX
yeah, definitely.
being a game, yeah, more of a gaming convention as time goes on.
PAX, even the what's the show in Germany? It's getting real big now, and
You
TGS
talking
is getting big
about
too.
Oh, PAX Down Under.
well,
No,
you talking about the Paradox Con they have every year?
no, hold on, I'll look it up real quick.
Because
GDC.
Paradox, because PDX gets ridiculous
Yeah,
every year in
not
Germany.
GDC, right?
No, it's not GDC.
Trying to think of what else is out there in Europe that's like some of the big ones. Oh, Gamescom. Gamescom.
Yes,
Oh
Gamescom.
yeah, that's
Huge,
where they
yeah,
yeah,
getting
that's where they
huge
like the
now.
last Oasis interviews.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kronos. I'm trying to think. I was like, what other
Yeah, I
one
was like
is
looking it
that?
up. I just looked up Jeff Keighley, Germany, and it popped up.
Yeah.
We might need to bring Carnos on as like a backstage editor or something for us, just to hold up cue cards for.
I would love to have Carneros on one day. That would be awesome. He's got a lot of insight in the gaming industry.
Yeah, yeah, Carm, we might need you as like a producer in the background to keep us from being fucked up.
Oh man.
Well, at least me. Tommy can vouch for that.
No, I definitely think there's a lot of things that could happen with E3 being up and down. I am excited though for the fact that it could be an all digital thing. Like it's stuff that I mean, even with E3, like I don't attend, but I love watching the whole events and everything for it. And I'm hoping that a lot of these developers that are not going now that the event itself is canceled, that are still going to have something digital like Devolver, as much as ridiculous as their presentation always is. I love watching it just to see how ridiculous it's going to be.
Same.
I mean, it's the same thing with Microsoft. Like, this is the launch year for PS5 and the Xbox One X. Like, so what's going to happen now? Like, how are we going to get our biggest news with that? You know, because nobody's really answered the questions about that. Now,
Well, I feel as the convention scene is kind of dying for the major video game companies, stuff like the VGAs is going to become more common, where it's really more of a show reel of what they want you to see and kind of what they want you to hear, and then also, oddly enough, reviving weird advertisement gimmicks from the 80s, like walking Pepsi cans.
You think they're gonna put that in these digital shows?
Yeah, that's what I think. The digital shows are
Oh,
going to be
hell no.
more of a crazy high. Well, a few devs are going to pull it. They're going to try. Like, I don't want them to, and I hope they don't, and I really wish there's somebody back there with a stick whacking them, but they
I mean,
are.
like for the not to go off a tangent though or side comment, but for the video game wars, they kind of need that, to support them and fund them, and these companies like Xbox and Sony, they don't really need that. They got money,
yeah,
so
Exactly.
I can't
exactly.
see that happening, but I mean, it
Well,
could.
I'm talking more with the smaller dev houses, like,
Oh, definitely, yeah, yeah.
like, I love
I can see that for them.
Kojima, but you can tell he got a little bit of favoritism.
Well, he's definitely got a little bit.
Well, he's Kojima, so
Yeah, yeah, but you know what I mean. Like, and you've seen like dev teams come out of nowhere that nobody's heard of getting high praise on their first game releases because they're being propped up by big individuals like Kojima and other major devs, personalities, and smaller studios that are still major household names. And I feel
yeah.
like they're going to be taking over the digital space, while the big guys like Microsoft, Sony, and Nintendo just chill in the background, do their own thing.
Yeah,
Like,
and to go off of that, like as someone who's attended for the past couple of years or past 5 years, I'm really sad that it is not going to be here this year. I'm sad that it's kind of going away, but I'm also really excited and really looking forward to the future and like all these digital events. Like I'm curious to see like who teams up with E3 and their digital event versus like who puts on their own.
yeah, I'm definitely curious to see what they do, like splitting that up. Like, if it's people are gonna, the companies that were originally intending to do their presentation with E3, I wonder if they still are going to do it, because nobody's really said like if they're going to do it or not. Like, everybody said we're going to perform a digital version, but they haven't said if they're just going to be on their own or if it's going to be with E3 or what have you.
Yeah.
Now, one of the negative things that I think is kind of disappointing about this E3 was the fact that Warner Brothers was going to present this year. And that was kind of a
Oh
surprise. Like,
man.
we were going to see, apparently, as leaked information has come out, they were going to announce a new Batman game and new Harry Potter games.
I knew you were gonna say Batman. I just soon as you said Warner Bros. I'm like, Batman's gonna come up. It's gonna happen.
Oh, because they were going to do a new Batman release finally, and it's been what, 3 or 4 years since they've done a Batman release now.
I
It's been
wouldn't be
so long.
surprised.
I think
I
it's
wouldn't be
been like
surprised if Warner Bros. Launched a Birds of Prey tie-in game right now. Okay,
I'm For their sake, I hope
I
not.
want a third Lord. I want a third Lord of the Rings game though. Warner Brothers,
Arkham
get
Knight
on it.
came out 2015, so yeah,
Oh
that was
man,
like
5 years, yeah. So that's
yeah.
been a bit.
Ooh.
Whew.
But
And
yeah,
that
I
was a
still hope
disaster.
they do something. I still hope they do a digital event. But yeah, it would have been cool to see them like put on a full E3 show.
Yeah.
But of course, given the current situation, the pandemic is going on right now. It's the smartest idea.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, and the way like we talked about this, before the show went on hiatus, E3 structure is just so dated and it's just extravagant. Like they're still doing it like it's the first one every year.
Yeah. They always have done trying to do it. I mean, that's part of that whole presentation, right?
Yeah, I just they're super tryhards. I go to all kinds of expos that have been around for years that do crazy stuff. Like I go to a car expo in Vegas every other year, every 2 years, and that thing's ridiculous. And they don't do half the crap E3 does.
No, that's definitely true. Like, I mean, they definitely haven't done, that style of it. I mean, that's something that we've always talked about. E3 just needs to be updated. It needs to have some kind of revitalization to make, give that, feel and everything back to, especially the developers that are showcasing. Like, we want them to get their information out as much as possible, right?
I think their problem is they focus too much on gaming press exposure and not too much on community exposure.
Yeah, that's honestly the thing that's really been killing it, and the thing that is going to kill it if they don't change soon enough is that they're not like focusing too much on the fans, and it should be like more of a fan celebration. You see like PAX like becoming more prominent because it is a big fan celebration. You see Gamescom becoming more prominent because it's a fan celebration as well. Same thing with TGS. Whereas
Exactly.
E3 is like, I mean, it is a celebration, but it
Pe-
is like
It's always
geared
like a
towards journalists and media, this and that.
yeah. It's
People
focused towards the
relate
media.
more. People relate more to seeing another Joe Schmo interacting with a game dev than some editor from Kotaku having a freaking interview with them. Like seeing, a game dev like actually demoing his game at a booth at PAX East has a lot more of an impact than them sitting down with some Kotaku person on a nice little soundstage.
Yeah. I mean, I don't
I
necessarily
don't
care
mean to
for
call
too
out
many of those.
Kotaku like that. I'm just, they're the first gaming media that came to mind.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's the same thing with like IGN or any of these other ones, right? Like they all
Yeah,
do kind of something
exactly.
similar for it.
IGN, GameSpot, all the established media of gaming, holding their little interviews and stuff. Like I love it that E3, has deals with, or arrangements with IGN that we got like exclusive trailers and stuff, right on time. But I just think like the exclusivity that you have to have a press pass to really talk to a game dev kind of made it feel like a little bit of elitism to
Yeah.
the average gamer.
Well, Carneros was bringing up an interesting point, like how there used to be a summer CES, and the E3 basically replaced the summer CES, which is, and they moved to only a January CES show, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah, my
I
dad used to build PDAs. I remember him talking about CES.
and CES
Uh,
still, even for me, is like a big show too, because I love hearing about all the new electronics that are coming outside of gaming. Like some gaming stuff is also brought in there too, but the outside gaming stuff is also very, very entertaining to hear about.
Yeah, that's another thing too. I don't like this separation that's happened between gaming and tech.
Well,
Like
I mean,
it used to be hand in hand.
I mean, there's a lot of tech that's not involved with gaming at all that definitely should be showcased separately, and I don't at all disagree with that. Um,
I just noticed like you see like more of a merge between comic books and video games than you see, while they've drifted away from their original media. Like comic books and novels used to run together, and video games and technology used to run together. But now video games and comic books have kind of like run towards each other in the middle.
yeah, yeah, I'm optimistic, but also kind of curious to see what's going to happen. Like, I absolutely still love the PAXs. I still hope the remaining PAX events this year continue to go on. Like, as is, like we know that Sony pulled out of PAX East, and PAX East still had a good attendance. I went to DreamHack in Anaheim. That was actually pretty good for their very first year. I know of a bunch of other events are actually canceled or postponed due to the current climate of everything. But I definitely hope we kind of get back to that normal at some point with the events. Because I mean, I absolutely think that gaming events still need to be in person somewhat, right? Like you can't have all the digital ones. While I enjoy the digital ones because they're very convenient, I still do love the events I can actually go to and try out the games and talk with the developers and network with other folks and do all that kind of stuff. So I'm definitely curious to see what's going to happen going forward with some of that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's. Oh, go ahead, Tutu.
I don't want to harp on this too much, but I was just going to say that right now, what we're all going through is kind of a scary new time, really interesting time. Seeing so many events being canceled, whether it's in gaming or entertainment or sports or whatnot, and the most important thing right now is just to stay safe, and the fact that all these events are getting canceled is like the best case scenario right now.
Yeah,
So
don't go grab a bunch of your friends and go in a warehouse and throw your own E3. Okay, don't do it, people.
yeah. But I do hope that of course, like towards the summer and the fall, that things get better out there, that we can go to these events, we can go to PAX West and whatnot. But yeah, it'll be so interesting. I feel like for the gaming industry as a whole, it's just going they're going to learn so much from all this, and especially with E3 being out, they're going to save a lot of money. They're going to not need them or realize they don't need their asses anymore. So it's you know overall scary, crazy, but for gaming and just for you know living life right now, it's just really interesting and fascinating too.
Yeah, and I honestly think this is just a long-awaited breather that the industry on the con level and the development side has needed for years. So it's
Yeah,
sad that
definitely.
the state of affairs had to happen to make it happen, but I think there's gonna I think there's gonna be a few pissed off therapists because those introverted game devs aren't gonna be stressed out as much dealing with a bunch of people. So
Oh yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, there's different pros and cons for sure. I mean,
oh
I
yeah.
hope overall it ends up being a positive outlook for everybody, right?
Yeah, I think I just hope this just allows everybody to breathe and like get shit together because these 2 to 3 month planning schedules for cons were just shoddy. So I hope this 6 to year long break everybody gets, they just able to come up with some awesome stuff.
Oh, absolutely. Alrighty, guys and gals, we're running out of time for the rest of today. Let us know what you think of the new show format. I know it's kind of different to have us not on camera like we usually are. Since this is going to be mainly a podcast kind of format, we still wanted to present everything on screen, kind of give you guys a presentation still being on the Twitch side of everything. But if there's any feedback you'd love to give us, let us know. We're here. We're in the INN Discord. We're also in the FatBTV Discord, or even just at Imperium News. Let us know what you think, how you think of the show, and we're looking forward to making some great episodes coming up. Any comments from you guys?
Follow us all on Twitter. We usually post updates when we stream or we're doing something, and we always post funny stuff.
Yeah, let us know how you guys are liking this new format. I'm really excited for the future of this new show. This is a whole new venture for all of us together, and it's going to be really fun. Can't wait for the future topics and episodes and what.
Sounds
Oh,
great.
we need avocado.
Need
That's what we
avocado.
need.
More avocado.
We need avocado and cowbell, and then we'll
More
be all set.
avocado and cowbell. Alrighty, guys and gals, we're gonna sign out for today. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you on next week's episode of Cartridge to Cloud.